everyone, this is Lying Figure, and today we're back here playing Silent Hill 4. And so we left off here, which is we put our key that would keep us wandering for eternity into this box, so we're going to crawl back into the hole, come out a different hole, and be at the orphanage, and be able to go back in, grab a key, and we should be able to get in the locked front door where our friend Jasper Guine is hanging out. So, yeah. Anyways, I hope that the mic quality sounds a bit better in this part. I noted in the last two episodes, it sounded not really bad, but a little bit different. It sounded a little bit more muted and quiet. And while I tried to do what I could to edit that away, it was something to do with my new computer's audio drivers and how the default setup was for them. It was just a slightly, quite a bit lower in volume, and then a bit of a difference in quality. But I fixed it, so hopefully it sounds a bit better here to your ears. Anyways, so we're back here with Jasper, and despite him already drinking all the chocolate milk, he's still trying to drink more. So anyways, let's head into a hole here. And you know, this game has a lot of crawling in and out of holes. It really drives home that symbolism I was talking about of childbirth and going through holes into new worlds and so on, which will become much more evident later on. Now, a lot of people might have noticed this series so far has had quite a bit less lore than the other games. The other games has been, 1, 2, and 3. Their lore is pretty consistent. New enemies are introduced at a pretty consistent rate, and so on. The issue with Silent Hill 4 is that there are two sections of the game, and sort of like with Nier, if you've played that, the second section is arguably more important to story, at least, and it's much more is revealed at a much faster rate once you get to the second half. That's not to say the first is boring by any means. It delivers a structure to the second part, but it's just it's a lot more slow burn until you get to the second half. At which point, oh, he's talking to us.
Gives me the chills.
At which point, the rate of which we can explain things and everything will start to come together, all the enemies and all worlds and their organization, will make a lot more sense. Anyways, you used the rusted bloody key. So let's head inside here. And we are inside a really shitty looking orphanage. I mean, it probably was better at some point, but it looks pretty awful right now. I wonder what was going on here. I'm going to guess that it wasn't too good. Oh, hey Jasper. He looks a lot like Spud from Trainspotting. That's one of my favorite movies. I see there's just a teaser for the second one released today. That's a great movie. There's a scribbled note. Have you found Alessa yet? How is Walter's progress coming along? Send me a report. So this note is the subject of quite a lot of speculation, and I personally believe it. Well, not me personally. I don't really have a belief about it. I was going to say others believe. I have people who write fan websites and dig through the old website, translate that it's probably either Dahlia or Claudia. Dahlia Gillespie being Alessa's mom from the first game, and Claudia being the woman, basically the antagonist of the third game. And whoever it is, I'm not sure, but we do know that this place was owned and run by the cult. And so, if they're looking for Alessa, we know the time period means. My personal belief is probably that it's Claudia, because we know from Silent Hill 3 notes that she was looking for Alessa for quite a long time, and she finds her in Silent Hill 3. Anyways, we can explore a little bit, but really there's not much to see here. We can go up these stairs, but I'm pretty sure this door is locked. Yep. I think we can go in it later on in the game, but not right now. Anyways, let's go see what Jasper's up to. So we can see some obvious, Got something stuck in my throat. Obvious candles and kind of weird rugs, carpets. Whoa, calm down, Henry. That would hint towards a pretty prominent religious theme, of course. And it's locked. Darn. Let's go see what Jasper has to say.
I wonder what they did here.
Goodness gracious, Henry.
I wonder what they did here.
I also wonder what they did here. It's locked. Interesting. So you actually can look at this. It's falling apart and I can't even read most of the pages. Here's the part I can read. The second sign, and God said, offer the blood of the 10 sinners and the white oil. Be then released from the bonds of the flesh and gain the power of heaven. From the darkness and void bring forth gloom, and gird thyself with despair for the giver of wisdom. The third sign, and God said, return to the source through sin's temptation. Under the watchful eye of the demon, wander alone in the formless chaos. Only then will the 4 atonements be in alignment. What could it mean? You put the Holy Scripture scrap in your scrapbook. And now we can see there's some smoke coming from the door. It's been cracked open. Somebody went in here. Let's go see what's going on. There's a plate on the door. Let's grab the plate. Source placard. Shows a baby and says source.
I finally met him! The one the nosy guy talked about! The devil!
A special news report. In a forest near Silent Hill, the burned corpse of a 30-year-old male was discovered earlier today. The police have ruled it a homicide and are investigating. The numbers 17121 were reportedly carved into the man's body. Due to the marks on the victim, the police are investigating possible links to the Walter Sullivan case 10 years ago.
So that's a really important news report because it establishes a few things. 17121, of course, we know that Cynthia, when she died, she had 16121 on her body, which means, well, that's one number up. Well, not technically. One number up would be 16122, but you know what I mean. The 15 went to a 16, or the 16 went to a 17 now, and you know we're not sure what's going on exactly, but it's been linked because apparently this number carving business has been related to the Walter Sullivan case. And I've talked about Walter Sullivan before, but we know nothing about him at this point, really. So anyways, let's walk out here and let's check the door and see what's going on here.
This is the superintendent. Are you in there, Henry?
Help me! There's something wrong with this room! Help! Let me out of here!
Is anybody home?
What's going on here?
the right key. I'm sure I heard something in there. Yeah. That sound. It's the same one as back then.
So, what did Frank Sunderland mean by that? That guy's name is Frank Sunderland, of course, father of our good friend James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2. And I believe that's his first speaking appearance. Maybe. I can't remember. I haven't played this in about a week because I've been too busy doing things like playing other video games. No, I'm kidding. But anyways, you'll notice that we can see there's one more handprint there on the bottom left, making the total 17. And 17121 is our most recent number. Very interesting. Don't go out, Walter. Anyways. So let's look at these chains. I think they're all the same. No big differences I can see. Anyways, what do we do now? Well, let me talk about Jasper first. So Jasper, we got this. It shows a baby and says source, the source placard. So this is interesting because, well, Jasper is the source of a bit of information. Of course, he gave us the shovel, but really by source, they're relating to the fact that later on in the game we will hear a lot of things from Jasper, or we'll find notes by Jasper that share a lot of information and background about all this nonsense that is going on. So he's considered a source in the way, or at least that's some people's speculation. My speculation would actually be that it's just related to the manner in which he dies and the fact that he studies Alessa so closely, which is that source being all this started with Alessa and the town's cult, of course, and so the baby would represent Alessa and the way in which he dies is being burned alive, just like how Alessa was burned basically to death, but because of magic powers she was kept alive. Anyways, that's my speculation. And other people's. I mean, it's not just my theory. Just the one I buy most. Anyways, let's see. I don't think we're gonna need any of this. That's a broken 9-iron. Oops, I didn't mean to put that. Oh, I didn't mean to put either of those away. So this is not broken. We'll... You know what? Let's put this away. I don't even want this gun anymore. I just want to get to the beach. Let's head back through the hole, as I can't... Well, I actually can think of something else I want to do, which is save the game. Save possible. Very good. I'm glad it doesn't say save impossible. Let's take a quick gander out the window and look at a few things around our apartment to see if we unlocked any new descriptions. Nothing. That's fine.
Are you yearning for that special place?
Yeah, we heard that message already. This TV, just like I thought, the power's blown. Let's see if this picture's any different. Yep, here's the message I was talking about before. I got this photo from Sunderland, the superintendent. I heard his son and daughter-in-law disappeared in Silent Hill a few years back. This is, of course, referring to Silent Hill 2. And I believe this is the first time we learned his last name is... No, never mind. I believe it's our first solid connection when it... I mean, we know his name is Sunderland because he mentions it earlier, but we didn't really know for sure if it was related to James, but this confirms it. Again, this is one of the other hints that's used to justify which ending is canon in Silent Hill 2. A lot of people say in water, a lot of people say leave or rebirth. But sorry, I hit the mic. But the fact that in Silent Hill 3, well, I won't get into spoilers for that because some people may have not played that or watched it yet. But suffice to say, that is one of the hints that hints towards it, and I talk about that in Silent Hill 2, my Silent Hill 2 lore play. Let's check on Eileen. Still just sitting there, it seems. Looks like she's looking over at me. But that's okay. We don't need to be voyeurs. Instead, we'll just crawl through a hole. The hole has changed again. I think I can hear children's voices. Let's go in. Let's see what's going on out here. So this level is one of the most iconic in this game, at least in my opinion. Um, from what I've seen, a lot of people remember this level. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people love it. I personally just like it. I'm not completely decided on it, but I do like it. Um, if that's pretty creepy. There's a light up there, and someone was walking past, and the foot blocked off. These things are not too interesting. They are, if I remember correctly, called toadstools. And all they are really is, well, their symbolism I can't get into just yet, but the fact that there's someone walking overhead past this light and it blocked it off, and, you know, basically these are little prison cells, and people were watched in here, and they were being watched and monitored and so on. And these toadstools represent two things. One is the constant eyes that are watching people. You can tell by the way that most of them turn into a little circle or a sphere at the end of them, and they have a string on the back, sort of like an eye would. And also they represent in certain areas that we'll go to, they'll be blocking them off, and we'll have to knock them out of the way to go through. And that's more emblematic of just that this is actually a water prison, it's called, and it's where the cult held orphans, and well, certain orphans, and did a lot of terrible things to them. And so it would show areas where they weren't allowed to go, even when they left their cells for lunch or anything like that. So there's a noose here, and a note. Something's written. I'm sick of being watched. And that's all they had to say. Presumably they hung themselves. And when we head back over to the door, we hear some rattling chains, perhaps to signify the ghost of a person who hung themselves there. Some of these doors will be broken.
He's gonna kill me.
Oops. Don't worry, we'll hear that. These little things, well, these are the baby versions, and they can't hurt us, and we can't hurt them. But we will talk about what those are pretty soon. Here's the guy who's talking.
He's gonna kill me. Walter's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me.
Darn, this guy's gonna die. Can't let him out, though. Well, we'll see what, if there's anything we can do about that. There's a little note on the ground here that Henry's trying to look at. There's a sloppily written note on the ground. Lucky, I finally escaped from the cell. I decided to take a careful look around this building. The scariest place was the first floor basement. There's a kitchen in the northeast, but the next door in the northwest is a death chamber. To get in there, you have to punch in the right numbers. I don't know the numbers, and it was too dark to even see the panel, so I didn't go in. So we got an exploration memo. And so I think we did see everything. If this is... Nope. These are some old shackles, obviously. Some pistol bullets for us. And I think that's the last cell we had to look at. So I think this is the one we started in. Yep. So what we can do is check out this set of double doors right here. Shut up. He's not going to kill you, okay?
Kill me. Walter's gonna kill me.
I'm going to kill you if you don't shut your fat mouth.
He's gonna kill me.
Come on now. Okay, so anyways, let's head through these double doors. And all we'll find in here is 2 doors. One that goes this way, and the other goes a different way. Except it doesn't go any way for us because it's locked. And there's a hole here for us to go through and come back, but I don't need to save just yet. And there's a note on the wall. To get to the surveillance rooms in the middle of this complex, you have to use the corpse disposal chutes in the cells. However, on the first and second floors, these cells are locked. That's so the kids wouldn't discover them. So you have to get to the first floor from one of the cells on the 3rd floor. I know how to do it, but it's really a pain. Also, the lights only work on the 3rd floor. So that's a guard's diary. And that will come in pretty handy for us, actually. This will take us... Oh, here's the second occurrence of wall men. But I believe we can almost completely avoid them. If here the room that you have to run is a lot bigger than on the escalator. See, that was my fault. Even if I stood right here, I don't think I could get a hit. You just have to stick to the wall here. Which is why the escalator is the bane of my existence, whereas wall men in here, I don't care about that much. Also, it helps that if they hit you, you always go flying down. And it's just a lot easier to time overall. So, anyways, we could take those ladders if we wanted, but I don't have this place memorized too well. And these ladders are actually really useful because they can let you skip this whole hallway if you crawl down them. But I want to make sure I see and grab everything because I know there's items like this that will come in useful later. The Saint Medallion. We're going to hoard a lot of items like that. Candles and swords. You'll see why later in the game. Anyways, I believe this is the bottom. And it'll just take us to this big room. Which, this place is considered a panopticon, which is basically a fancy word for building where inmates or residents are being watched. Because it often has some underground segments and all basically it means they're secretly being watched or monitored. It's a key. Should we take the key? Sure. Water prison exit key. Up is carved into it. Something written on the plate. Let's see what it has to say. To turn on the lights in the 3rd floor cells, turn this water wheel. Remember that the water must flow in the direction of the water wheel. And of course, you also have to open the sluice gate on the roof. So we copied the water wheel room plate message into our scrapbook. And there's Hummers all over here. But really, they're not too bad. This room I don't think serves any purpose right now. I actually think this room's really cool. Because this is a generator that is a bit too big. Like, generators or whatever this is, whatever you want to call it. I think it might be a water pump. Are usually big. Not this big. They're not this massive. And that door obviously should not be that massive. And the fact that it is might signify that this is from the perspective of a little kid. And I can't open it very wide. Because Henry is a manlet. Someone pointed out that this foot is 3 feet long. This pipe, I mean. if we look in the item description here, we can see it says the pipe is, if I can look here. Well, I guess it's not that important, but basically I got it open for a second, but I'm not sure how. The pipe's description says it's 3 feet long, and if you look at that, it seems that Henry might be about 4 feet tall. That gave me a good laugh. Whoever wrote that was hilarious. Anyways, another hole we can go through here. I'm not going to just yet. I would whack these things, but you know, it's not a big deal, and I can always go heal whenever I need to. And, well, now there's so many, I may as well whack them. When there's only 2 or 3, it's really not worth it, because they'll usually get a few hits in while you're trying to whack them. And, but when there get to be so many, you can't really run away. At least that's the wisdom I've gathered from my 2 playthroughs. And we'll run all the way back up these stairs. And instead of crawling up these stairs again, we're gonna just grab the ladder. And that'll take us pretty far. This is harder going up than it is going down, because you can't really see them too early. But let's just sprint past this guy. Oh, we tried our best. Anyways, I think we're almost to another ladder. That guy got me good. That's okay. I'm really not too worried about my health. At this point in the game, any hits you take can be healed pretty much immediately. Let's take this ladder down. And that took us here? I'm not sure. Either way, I think we actually do need to go a different way. Through here, that's right. Because we need the water prison exit key. It'll take us outside. Where we can see down there, that's water. And this place is actually, I'm actually not going to run up here, because this just takes you all the way around up to where this ladder will take us. So this place is in Toluca Lake. And where it is exactly, I'm not sure. I'm guessing off the coast near the orphanage that we visited somewhere. And these things are basically little slug grubs. And their symbolism, much like the Hummers, is not too complex. They are kind of meant to symbolize fetuses in a way. They're small, slimy, curved, and but obviously alive, but very simple forms of life. And also, they're just meant to be pests. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, this game's weaknesses are some of the enemy designs are just not very inspired. I really like that. That's pretty cool. There's something written on paper. It still looks like a kid's writing. I peed in my pants. I gotta wash them so nobody finds out. Oh, I just saw a shadow. I think someone saw me. And that comes back over to remind you of what that note is referring to. Anyways, I can excuse a pretty uninspired enemy design. Like the creepers in Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3. They're just kind of cockroach pests that are just excess evil from the town. But when there's 2 enemies, the Hummer and the whatever, I can't remember their name at this moment. I'm sorry about that, but I will add it in right here. I guess I am mentally challenged. The bottle's filled with black powder. It's graffiti. It doesn't look like it was written by an adult. Picking my nose a lot. I guess that's all he has to say then. Anyways, I believe this to be the second floor of cells. And there's quite a few things in these cells. It's a diary. I've been watching the surveillance room's peephole the whole time, and sometimes he's there. I can tell because I see a shadow move or hear his footsteps. That's right. So, let's just keep checking these. Oh, there's some toadstools here. Just knock them out of the way. And some, it's not all of them are meant to be, like, symbolic of places you can't go, or couldn't go, if you were a prisoner here. Some are just kind of a gameplay obstacle and nothing more. We already checked out this room. But there are certain places, like that torture room we read about, is blocked off by these. So that's kind of where the theory comes from. Anyways, that'll take us up to this floor with the. Should be the third floor then. And in here we find some clothes. There are clothes lying here. And that seems to be about it. More toadstools. But there's 2 notes in here that I want to read. So, turn around, Henry. There we go. Okay, let's read this real quick. It's a diary. We had beef stew yesterday in the cafeteria. I heard there's a death chamber behind the kitchen, and they take meat straight from the dead people and cook it. That really scared me. And again, that's referring to the torture room we read about earlier. Or the room we read about earlier behind the kitchen. That's pretty suspicious. I'm in trouble. I stood in front of the surveillance room and yelled as loud as I could. Nobody came out. This place, I really like it. It's not a whoa. I saw that from a different angle on my way, on my first 2 playthroughs. So this thing is interesting, to say the least. And we might die here because these things are so strong. They have a weird grunt and also a whisper kind of moan. And they point at you before they chase you like this. And this enemy is actually just incredible. I really like the design. I really like the lore behind it. And I really am creeped out by them, so I'm going to leave and then come back and try to explain them. So these are Billy and Miriam Locane. And that's 2 victims of, if you remember way back in Silent Hill 2, we read a note in the newspaper from the strange garbage that we knocked down with juice cans. We read a note that says Walter Sullivan was this guy who had killed 2 twins. He had some victims, and he killed these twins, little kids, named Billy and Miriam Locane. And so this enemy is called the Twin Victim. And I'll show some concept art or renders here, because I really think it's awesome. I really like how they point to you before they chase you. I like that they run on these giant, disgusting hands. And I really like this render of them in particular. It makes me so uneasy. There's something about this enemy that's just disgusting. And that's how a Silent Hill enemy should be. And I think that this is one of the top Silent Hill enemy designs. I mean, 1, 2, and 3 have excellent enemy designs. But I mean, especially symbolism and lore-wise. But this is one of the scariest enemies, so if I had like a top 5 scariest Silent Hill enemies, like most unnerving, as opposed to, coolest lore-wise, I'd put this one. Of course, it is cool, too, that this is an enemy based off a note from Silent Hill 2, but it's really neat. And basically, Walter killed these 2, and they come back as the twin victim. And the reason that what this means exactly is hard to say, because a lot of the enemies, like the ghosts and so on, are victims of Walter. But the fact that this enemy is seeing these specific victims, we don't know if it's the life of the person or it's just a creature created by, like, if it's the actual soul of the dead people in the monster in some way, or if it is just a creature created from the psyche of Walter, or, you know, a combination of the two. So hard to say, but very interesting enemy. They do a lot of damage, and I got absolutely nailed by that one. So I should probably go heal, but first we're going to run up here, and we're going to go up the ladder, because this should take us to the roof, in which we can do a few things. By a few things, I think I mean just one. That door is blocked, but if you remember, the note said we have to open the sluice gate in order to get the lights going on the 3rd floor, and we have not opened the sluice gate. So we're going to pull the handle here, twist it a bit, and this should open the gates. Alright. So a lot of people speculate that the twin victim is a source of a special guilt that Walter might have, because they were some of his younger victims, probably his youngest actually, basically children, or babies, infants even, but, or toddlers I guess is a more accurate term. But so some people think that maybe he felt guilt for killing them, because they were just children, as opposed to the ghosts are all just kind of ghost generic enemies, and they just have slightly different visual designs, whereas the twin victim gets its own enemy design, and so a lot of people think that means that it was a more impactful double murder to Walter's psyche than any of the other kills, really, which could certainly be true. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of killers would feel more remorseful about killing 2 children than 2 adults. And we come back to the apartment, and there's a new note under the door, and our TV has been turned on. Let's take a look at our TV. I don't remember turning this on. Neither do I, Henry. Neither do I. Anyways, let's go ahead and read this note. I'm just taking a little bit of time to let myself heal. The scrap of red paper is stuck under the door, just like the scrap of red paper we got under the door earlier. Lately, I've been feeling like my life is in serious danger. I've been through a lot in my life, but I've never felt this kind of pure animal fear. In case something happens to me, I've decided to write down what I've learned for whoever you are that's living in the apartment now. I've been investigating the mass murder that took place 7 years ago, in which 10 people were killed in 10 days. They were killed in a variety of ways, but the one thing they had in common was that each corpse had the following numbers in order of their deaths carved into them: 01121, 02121, 03121, and so on, all the way up to 10121. The name of their killer, it was carved in as well. His name was Walter Sullivan, April 4th. So, the stuff I've told you is all coming together now. Walter Sullivan, killer, of course. 10, and you can tell the first 2 numbers are obviously counting up. What does 121 mean? Not sure quite yet, but we'll figure it out. Let's see where Eileen is. I guess she's not here. Fair enough. Let's finish healing very quickly, and I'll save the game. This takes... I wish you would go a little bit faster, or just heal you as soon as you come back to the apartment, because it's, I mean, mechanically would be basically the same thing. Anyways, let's heal. So when I save here, you'll see, or heal, let's save, I mean. When I save here, you'll see it says return from water prison world. Of course, so that's where the name comes from, is the game itself telling us that. Anyways, let's look and see if there's... I guess we didn't take the gun, so we won't need this ammo. The Saint Medallion is anti-spirit, and I don't really need it right now. Just take these 2 items. So let's head back and see what's going on in the water prison world. We're going to finish exploring the 3rd floor, and see if we can get those lights on. Or maybe they did turn on. Yeah, I don't think so. I think I still have to do some stuff to get them turned on. Oops, I actually went the wrong way. You have to come back down here later. So, quite a few times actually, so I was a little bit confused. We need to go through the exit here and crawl up all these ladders. And all these stairs that I'm ignoring actually just go around, which I'll show you just, you know, for completion's sake, so you know what the game is like, but really it is just running past here. When I first saw this game, I was very confused by what it... There's some Hummers here. I was very confused by what exactly it was or how it related to Silent Hill 2, or Silent Hill at all. But this is way before I had even played 3 or 1 or knew anything about Silent Hill lore outside of 2. Because all I saw was screenshots of this place and walking around here and being followed by a couple people, and that's about it. Anyways, yeah, you can see basically the same thing running around or not running. Oops, we want to go down the floor and go in here. And these twin victims, we're going to ignore them. But in here, there is some diaries and some writing. Graffiti. I'm a boy genius, and I figured out the answer to the surveillance room puzzle. It's light and water. More journals all over the place that we can't really read. Or just books, I guess. But as you can see there, the lights seem to be on now. Whoa, hello, buddy. I'm just going to try and run away from these guys. They're fast, but they don't do much damage. Let's jump in the hole and see where we end up. And we ended up in a room with another hole, in which the light shines through. So let's jump in. And if I remember correctly, we should end up, yep, in another hole room. So we went from the 3rd floor to the 2nd to the 1st, and we'll jump down another, and we should end up here, in which there's a twin victim, or 2 actually. Actually, I'm going to bother fighting them. This is basically a trap room, so we can unlock this door and run through, and enter a new area. Unlock this door. And you can see this is the door that was locked in the big long staircase. And we can't go in here. But we can walk out here and there's a ladder. So let's, is there something over here? Nope. Okay. Let's try and crawl this and see what's going on. And we'll see we're in the room where we could see all these portholes that are watching people. And there's that guy still bitching. And there's a document here. This place continues to deteriorate. The doors to a number of cells no longer open. As a result, the kids inside can no longer go outside, but the less they know about that, the better. I can't open the doors, but from this room I can watch them get more and more emaciated each day. With no food and never showering themselves, they turn into smelly little gray lumps in there. Following the suggestion of an engineer, we've disposed of the corpses by digging a hole below the cells. Since each floor of this building can be rotated independently, we can dispose of the bodies without the others noticing by aligning each cell with a body in it vertically. P.S. Chief, I bet you're just dying to see the interrogation room behind the kitchen. I understand your feelings, but have you not noticed? There are 3 rooms with bloody beds. One is on the 1st floor, one is on the 2nd floor, and one is on the 3rd floor. If you line up those 3 rooms, then it's bingo. So that kind of gives us an idea of what we need to do, which is get down to the interrogation room by way of lining up the bloody beds. But those, I didn't want to spoil it earlier, which is why I didn't mention it, but those little gray lumps are basically the little children that, I mean, I think they're just, maybe Walter read that report and took it a little too literally, and just imagined them as little green, lumpy, slimy creatures. But, you know, these worlds are a product of his psyche, and so it's not literally, like, the children here were emaciated, sick, and gray, and so on, but they weren't literally turned into those things, at least I don't think so. Anyway, this puzzle is pretty difficult, you know, depending on how you're trying to do it. we'll see there's 3 floors to this ladder. And there should be a document here. Yep. To keep a close eye on the kids, it's important to keep the cells well lit. The lights on the 3rd floor were originally bought as searchlights. As a precaution against a blackout, they were set up to run on a private generator. There's a hydroelectric generator in the basement. To light up the 1st and 2nd floors, use the corpse disposal chutes. Since each floor of this building can be rotated, you can light up any of the cells by matching up the holes. Repeating this periodically is an effective way to keep the kids fearful and well-behaved. P.S. Chief, if you turn the handle in the middle of this room, you can easily rotate the cells. You can't rotate the 1st floor, so align the 2nd and 3rd floors with the 1st floor cell that has the blood-stained bed. By the way, if you use the people in this room, it's easy to make sure you're doing it right. Give it a try. Also, please don't forget to open the sluice gate on the roof. Much appreciated, Chief. Again, more directions on how to do this puzzle. So you can only move the 2nd and 3rd floors, and if we go up, we can see there's another note here and another little handle to rotate these. And this note just says a short thing, I believe. The secret number for getting through the door in the back of the kitchen this month is 0302. Thanks for your cooperation. And you notice that 302 is the room number of which we are trapped in, the apartment number, and the room or the code is 302. Anyways, this will be a good place to end it, I think, if the time is correct. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope that these episodes were a little bit the audio quality is a little bit better, and you learn some more interesting information about the twin victims, since the 4th episode didn't really have much to explain besides just kind of progress through the game. Anyways, thanks very much for watching. I hope you're doing well wherever you are, if it's day or night. Hope you're having a good one, and take care, my friends.